Okay, I'm recording.
Awesome. I am recording as well, so let's kick it off. All right. Welcome to the Cosmic Alchemy podcast, episode 3, guys. I'm joined by my co-host, Drew Renee. I'm Steve Porto. Hey, Drew, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Good. Podcast 3 already.
I know. It feels like
it's going quickly.
fast.
Today we're joined by astrologer Sonya Karl. Sonya, how's it going?
Oh, it's great. We're in a great week right now, so can't complain.
Yeah.
Is that like astrology wise or just like in general?
Both, yeah. It applies to both.
Glad to hear that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just to give everyone some perspective, Sonya and I are part of a Facebook group on human design. We are both projectors. If you guys want to check up on human design, look it up online. It's kind of complex, and I don't think I would do it justice. I don't think I would do it justice explaining it, but I came to know Sonya through there, and she posts really awesome astrological content. And then she did a video with the creator of that group, Charlie, that I thought was super insightful, really interesting, and I had to get her on the podcast to discuss a little bit more.
Can y'all define what projectors are?
Sonya, I'm going to leave that to you.
Well, basically, there are 4 different aura types. We all know what aura is. It's what you exude from your body. And projectors are just a little bit more focused. They're narrowing. So when you see, people will often say, you'll know when a projector walks into a room because they're very focused on like each person. So it's a very intense kind of energy, but it's also, I believe, a very loving, caring energy as well.
And I think only like 20% of the world's population are projectors.
Correct.
There's 4 different types. There's manifestors, generators, projectors, and reflectors. And so depending on how the stars were aligned when you were born and all that stuff, you are one of those 4 types. And basically human design allows you to understand how to live your life in its fullest potential. That kind of thing. I never do it justice. So many people ask me what it is, and it's like, I don't even know how to begin. Yeah, it is. But it's super valuable, and that's how we came to know each other. And it's interesting because I find specifically projectors are starting to lean towards the wellness space and helping people, and that's kind of what they're here to do a little bit, is to teach. So it's an interesting
I forget what I
encourage everyone to
am.
look it up.
I've done it. I've done a little chart, but I was like, this is a lot of information. So it's like,
Yeah, definitely. Human design is definitely, it's a topic of its own that could probably take up several podcasts. So yeah, it'd be interesting. But today we're going to be focusing on astrology, which is your craft, Sonya. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about how that came to be? Like, where did that study come from? When did you get into it?
Yeah, so as I said in my video with Charlie, I was a teacher for 10 years. And being in that world, it's a very conservative world. You might not think that way, but there's not a lot of spirituality going on in the education system, seeing that firsthand. So I was always interested in astrology, but I never told anyone because they would have thought I was crazy. So, but I ended up, because I'm a projector, I ended up getting sick my 10th year of teaching. It became too much. And I made a major transition. I had an astrologer say that I've got astrology in my blood, basically, or in my chart. And so I thought, well, he's an astrologer, and I got confirmation through other astrologers. And I just knew, if I love this, I might as well help people at the same time.
That's so cool.
Right. So how were you like incorporating it into your life before you really took the leap of faith and decided to get into it full time?
You know, it's funny, not much. Like I was watching videos. I was really trying to understand the symbols. I'd watch, is something good going to happen to me? Most people who watch astrology want to know, am I going to have good events coming up in my life?
Make money.
Right. Relationships, like all of those things. But it wasn't actually till about a year ago that I really delved in so much deeper and realized there's so much more to it, and it's so much more complex.
That's
Yeah.
also something. It's like if somebody like, you can go online and like type in your information and a birth chart will come up and it's like all these little symbols and stuff. And it's like, this is, it's so complex and there's so much like that.
It's endless. It's
It's
such a
right.
science. Yeah.
It is. It really is a science.
True.
So hats off to you for
Thank
taking
you.
that plunge.
Now, is
And
this
it's
something you're focused on full time?
Yes, right now, basically as a projector, I keep mentioning projector, but it's important to know that projectors, if they're not doing something full time, they need to be learning. So basically I'm learning in conjunction to doing the readings. Like I'm just constantly, because it's my passion, and for those of you who know and you are projectors, if you have lines 1 and 3, you're basically obsessed. And so I just spend my time delving as deep as I can and getting as much knowledge so that I can help people better.
Nice. I just actually looked up my human design chart and it says that I'm a generator. What does that mean?
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't describe it to you. I feel
Really?
embarrassed, but yeah.
No, like honestly, like because I remember when you brought up that you guys were in human design, there's another thing that's like human design, isn't there? There's something like some sort of spin-off.
I don't know.
I know there is.
I know that it's a part of several different systems. It includes astrology. It includes something like one of the Chinese systems as well.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, definitely. But generators have a lot of energy. You can actually create your own. So projectors don't have that. We have to kind of work with generators. It's a very interesting relationship. Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. No. So I guess like before we start our interviews, we do like a meditation where I really try to raise the vibration and the frequency of everyone who's speaking and on today. Yeah. And so I guess that helps you guys really project the energy, and we can kind of.
It does though, because projectors they actually have no energy centers. We feed off of the energy of others, so that dynamic actually really works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And that's just something that happened naturally.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
The universe.
Use your sacral center. Very good.
Yeah. Cool. So Sonya, let's get into the 2020 of it all, as I like to say. Can you talk to us a little bit about what the last bit of the year has in store for us?
Yeah, so I'd actually like to start with this week because so many people were focused in on this week, and there's a good reason for that. We had a very powerful Leo new moon, and we know that new moons set intentions, but this one in particular is one where you can set an intention for the next 6 months. So in astrology, you often see the 6-month theme come up, which is interesting because eclipses are worth 6 months. They usually extend for 6 months. We've got Mars in its sign for 6 months, and then this Leo new moon, 6 months. The reason why it's important is because the star Regulus is the leadership star, and we're really in a period of time where we need to have spiritual leaders help us because we're, so many things are happening around the world that, if we can call on any spiritual star, let's do it, right? So this happens to be, Regulus is the heart of the lion. And we're also getting support from the North Node and Mars is like an active planet. And it's also, Regulus has to do with the archangels, and I'm all about the archangels. Love them. I often call on them. So to have that connection is so key for humanity. And I actually have a few other really good signs, omens, that I want to state because I'm a Sag rising, so I like to start positive.
But quick question before we get into that. So you said that, right now with the moon in Leo, the new moon in Leo, it's a good time to set intentions. Is it too late to set your intentions for the next 6 months?
No, good question. This is the perfect time because we had it a few days ago, and you actually are not supposed to set intentions right away. You're supposed to wait till there's a little bit of light. You can see a crevice in the moon. So this is actually a great time to focus on what do you love? What brings you joy? anything where you can express yourself. Leo's all about expression and confidence, bringing the inner lioness, you know, out into the fore. So
cool.
Really good week, very positive week. And then I have 3 other things before I head into some intensity, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
okay.
do it. Let's do it.
So we have Venus rose as a morning star on time, and all the astrologers were praying for that. And what this means is this particular Venus energy is a female warrior. She fights for the underdog. She has the potential to rebalance the markets, and we need that. And I study economics. So it's like she couldn't have come at a better time. And
so wait, why were you guys, sorry, I have like a ton of questions. I'm interrupting you. So I don't know much about astrology. So it's like, why were you guys like praying for her to be on time? Like does she not, like, if you read the chart, she doesn't come on time or what?
Oh, good. Very good question. So in order for a star to rise on time, they have to rise before the sun, and you'll see them visibly. Now, when she hasn't risen before the sun by a certain date, like there have been times where she waited 40 days to do that. She was supposed to rise at a certain time and she rose 40 days later. We're talking economic crises. We're talking about weather problems, you know, anything you can think of that would be cataclysms. You don't want her to rise late. So she rose right about when she was supposed to rise before the sun.
Good.
It's called the heliacal rising.
A heliacal rising. Did I say that right?
That sounds funny, but yeah. All right.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. And then we had, this one was beautiful. This is another one that's the archangel energy. There's a comet that's called Neowise. It hasn't been spotted for 6,800 years. It's the only positive comet according to the ancients. And it's Gemini energy. And if you know anything about air signs, they're all about humanity and compassion and understanding human beings.
Oh, thanks. No.
Are you one?
Oh, yeah, you're Gemini.
Sun sign is Gemini, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. See, I have a lot of Gemini energy in my chart too, so
Nice.
I relate. That's okay. We love you. No, I'm kidding. But all signs are beautiful. And this particular comet, the reason why it's so positive is because the color of it is a Jupiter color. It had this like sparkling color to it, this light Jupiterian color. And Jupiter is a spiritual planet. It's like the guru. Now, what's really neat about this is that it's heading toward the Big Dipper. And it's the Big Dipper is also called Ursa, U-R-S-A, and it's the mother bear. So this comet is like heading in the direction of her paw. And if you know anything about mama bears, they like to swat at anything that, you know, it's
coming their way. Yeah.
Yeah, you want her to be protected. So, and the other fascinating part is that it's currently in the Lynx constellation, and the Lynx is all about night vision. So we're able to penetrate lies like X-ray vision and see who's telling the truth and who's not. So it's really a very positive omen.
That's awesome, because I was practicing some channeling, and that's what they're saying. It's like we're going to be able to really see who's telling the truth and who's not. So that's really cool.
So thank goodness for these things that we can hold on to.
Right.
And then basically the third positive thing is that I think the universe is providing this energy, this positive energy right now with, you know, the Leo new moon, in order for us to propel us into what we're heading into. Mars is connected to all of this energy, and Mars is a planet of willpower. It's going to give you the drive to do whatever you need, the courage to overcome whatever comes our way. So even though we're in transition, we're in growing pains, we have some energies that will help us. Now, with Mars, the best way to use it is to go after your goals and to use your body in a physical way, because the problem is when you don't do that, it starts manifesting in unhealthy ways, and we have to watch out for that.
Great. I literally, so right before this, I went for a long run today and I was like rushing to get ready. So yes.
Excellent. I love that. See? And you know, a lot of people are very intuitive. If you're very in touch with the energies, you don't need an astrologer. You're just going to do things. But it's just, sometimes it's good to have that confirmation that, you know, I'm on the right track.
Or sometimes it's like, okay, I'm not doing that. Let me jump on it. Like, you know.
Right? Yeah. So the more we do that, the better.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Those are the positives.
I was like, okay, the ball's about to drop, isn't it?
The reason why I say that is because we've got Mars, which is a planet that is very active and is wonderful for willpower, but it's going to be squaring Saturn. Mars and Saturn are enemies, and Saturn is called the greater malefic and Mars is called a malefic. Yeah. So we're talking malefics. We think of in Spanish, or you know, the root word mal, mal is bad.
Right.
So it's basically the great baddie with another baddie. You know, it's like the two baddies squaring
They're like teamed up right now.
It's a rap song right now. Megan Thee Stallion and I guess Nicki Minaj are beefing, I guess.
Right.
That's a great kind of link. Yeah.
I know that and maybe we should see it that way instead of how I'm about to say it. But we've got this energy till mid-October. And so what they're saying is use this time right before Mars goes retrograde on the 9th, because it's going to go retrograde on September 9th. That's going to be a lot of pent-up anger in a lot of people. Use this time to get your intention set and to focus on spirituality. A lot of people who are, like, we call them awake, they know how to tap into spirituality. They know how to tap into compassion. They know how to tap into kindness. All of those beautiful energies are going to help us. They know how to tap into the goals that they have and do more work on their internal world instead of putting the energy on the outside. But a lot of people who are not awake, this could be an energy where they want to fight. They're fearful. They don't know where to put their energy, and they put it on someone else. So for your audience, I'm probably, what do they say, preaching to the choir. But just, it's good to be aware that other people have compassion for them because they're not so aware, and it's going to hit them like a ton of bricks.
Right. And also I want to add to that, if, you know, you have friends who you're like, you know, they get overly invested in like the news, tell them to turn off the TVs, or if you're going to watch TV, watch comedies, watch something that's going to make you laugh and raise your vibration. Get outside, do activities. Even in COVID, like, it's hard, but find something. And if you have like friends and family members who are not awakened, have them, you know, have fun and distract them from all the craziness that's really about to like go down. So any way you can is helpful.
Yeah, I love what you said about distracting. It's so true. And also, you know, Neptune is about raising your vibration. That's the one thing that we can count on. Neptune will be very supportive. People underestimate that. You know, I don't tell anybody to pray, but I am someone who prays every day. I visualize white light and blue light and green light all around the planet. Every morning I welcome the angels. You know, these are things, if you're of that type of, if you're that type of person,
do it. Yeah.
You know, this is powerful.
Sure.
People underestimate the power of the light, you know, the forces, the positive ones that want to help us.
No, this is crazy. This is crazy how like in line this conversation is what the messages I've been given. Because yesterday I was doing this like energy healing session, and one of like, I guess the past versions of me was really causing like, pretty much put up a stop sign with all my spirituality stuff and like my success, and was like, you need to pray and you need to protect yourself and call upon the power. Like, this is way more important. Stop and listen. So yeah,
in fact, I joke with my friends. I say, you know, Archangel Michael's my boo. You know, he always shows up you know, it's like I'll be pulling angel cards and his comes out, and it's like he's the protector of all. He's like the manager of all the angels, and he can be everywhere all at once. So it's a beautiful energy. Yeah.
He's dope. Like I tell people, like tap into Archangel Michael, even if you're not religious. Like he's still there. Like I'm not super religious. Tap into his energy. He's a little sassy. So he'll make you laugh, but he's super loving. So tap into him. If you've never, you know, had a conversation with him, sit down and pray to him and talk with him.
Yeah, for sure. The best advice. Yeah. So we've got these planets, Mars and Saturn, who are in their home signs. Whenever planets are in their home signs, they're stronger. And then Mars is also
advantage.
Right. Exactly. I like that.
Yeah.
Pluto is not in home advantage, but Pluto will also be squaring Mars. That's a very intense energy.
Now, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just like interrupting all the time. But so Pluto, I mean, we don't consider Pluto a planet, but Pluto has very heavy like influence on us. Why is that?
Yeah, so I think some people call it a dwarf planet, or they might have even taken it off list. There are other planetoids. Eris is one.
Eris, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, Eris. We've got Chiron, which is the wounded healer. A lot of astrologers use Chiron. So there are other. Chiron was a planet, I believe, but they took it off the list. So, you know, in my opinion, if it has an effect, I don't care.
Okay, right. Because I think I read in one of Dolores Cannon's book, it's like there's actually 16 planets that really are like major players in our system. So.
Oh yeah. So there's
awesome.
A lot more than meets the eye, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, and I don't want to get. I don't know how you two feel about conspiracy theories, but
I mean, I definitely have read every single one. I don't. I've read them, I've discussed them, but I've taken this decision that this meeting will end in 10 minutes.
So we might have to. So if worst comes to worst, we're gonna have to like pause and then we can do mine because that's fine. So let's just keep going, and then in 10 minutes we'll switch over. And
we'll edit this out, no worries. So I don't subscribe to them. I found that like my vibration was lowering. There's a lot of fear based around the conspiracy theories. So I have decided to step away, but that goes like, it's unavoidable. They're everywhere. Everyone's talking about them. So I know everything. I know them all.
So I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I don't really subscribe to them. However, I kind of keep my eye on them in a sense, because some of it is very related. Some of it's super relevant, but it's like I don't put my focus on it. Yeah,
I'm gonna skip that one because I watch the Leo King. He's all about conspiracies, and there was something in there, but
I want to know.
Oh, okay.
I think we've talked about it.
I mean, like I said, I don't subscribe, but I love listening to it. So like,
right.
As a projector, I've just been invited, so I'm going in. President Reagan, apparently he made a speech that was during Mars retrograde. And he said that one of the only ways humanity will be brought together is if we have an invasion from outsiders, basically. We're talking like, extraterrestrials. So what I want to say to everyone who's listening is, if there is a possibility things could be staged. I mean, everything's a possibility, but I'm sure you've seen this on Facebook. People are like, don't listen. It's the same thing. We've got to be very careful because it's the same energy as that time, and we could have leaders bringing things to our attention. So be very wary of what you hear is what I want to say.
And I've heard that too. It's like really like because from any type of like BQH session that I've done where I've kind of asked those questions, that's going to be 5 to 10 years. And also with all the beings that, I've communicated with, or I've heard them, talk to humanity, it's like we're not coming down to save you. Like this is like, we're helping as much as we can. And they're doing they're in an overdrive, but in regards to, like coming down and invasion, that like, no, that's not the plan unless something changes overnight.
I think that that's the consensus as well, is that the disclosure that is about to happen is not going to be real. It's just going to be about fear mongering again and controlling again. So it's just something to be mindful from. Like people who, there's this doctor, his name is Stephen Greer, and he's been in that extraterrestrial space for years. And he's like, they're ready to have like a fake disclosure. The US government has fake UFOs, all that stuff. And so if the energies align with the fall, with a really big election about to happen, like I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So, that's what makes astrology interesting, is you see these patterns, and it's just, it gets you ready for whatever's coming our way, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so let's just take a pause, and I posted, so we were just finishing up on
conspiracy theories.
Conspiracies, yeah.
I think I was pretty much done.
Okay.
Funny how things happened when we started talking about conspiracy. No, I'm kidding. So moving on, Sonya, what else are in the cosmos for the rest of 2020?
All right, so starting in, it would be October. Everybody loves to talk about Mars retrograde. Not Mars retrograde. I'm still on Mars. Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde. Everyone blames technology problems on that. It's going to be from October 14th to November 3rd. So that's going to just add a little extra challenge to the mix.
I was going to say, there's till November 3rd. Will the election be affected by Mercury in retrograde?
I think there are going to be a lot of things. I'm going to be there are a ton of things in November and December, let me tell you. So I think, talk about conspiracies. We're going to see a lot of things.
Okay.
And that's funny. So I think earlier this year, as I like kind of revamped my whole spirituality journey, I started to look at Mercury retrograde as course correction rather than everything getting effed up.
Yeah.
And I think that it definitely has helped my mindset, for sure, when it feels like everything is just going wrong. Like, no, this is to put me where I'm supposed to. It might be a little bit more aggressive, but I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be.
Course correction is perfect because retrograde has everything to do with So going back, reflecting. A lot of people, they want to move forward during those times. It's actually an inward time. Anytime a planet goes retrograde, it's a time for that planet to go inward. The planet's not as strong, but if you can use it to review and reflect, you're using it to the optimal degree. So
and what does Mercury represent?
Mercury is communication.
Okay.
And it's technology, all of those things, social media, business. That's why a lot of people, business owners are like, I don't, it's like they have to kind of.
Right. It breaks.
Take longer.
Right. It kind of breaks that line of communication. So it's like we can reevaluate those things.
And it's also travel. So, that can be a tough time. So that's it's October heading into November, and that's October in the middle of it is right at the end of where the Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter square to Mars is going to kind of alleviate. The energy's not going to be as strong. So in a way, it's like universe gives us this square that we feel until mid-October between these malefics. And then we kind of like ease off of that, but then Mercury goes retrograde. So it's almost spacing itself out a little bit.
Roller coaster ride.
Exactly. It's like, it doesn't give it all at once sometimes, but it's like throughout. And then in November, on the 12th, we have the last of the Jupiter-Pluto conjunctions. Now, Jupiter-Pluto, the last time we had a Jupiter-Pluto conjunction was in 2007, which stimulated the 2008 financial crisis that we had in the US. So that's going to be the ending mark on November 12th of that situation. We're going to probably feel something happening at that time, which is immediately followed by Mars going direct the next day on the 13th. So that's a very intense time right then. And then we have a lunar eclipse on the 30th. And lunar eclipses have to do with just kind of bringing something to light, exposing something, so that when you talked about something happening with the elections, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. And it's in Gemini, and we know our current leader has a lot of, yeah. So who knows at this point? I do know that eclipses bring intense changes, and they're intended to bring us back on course. So whatever back on course means, we're gonna have to see.
But that's an intense shift, because we are way off, I think. So being wheeled back in.
Well, funny you should say that, because we had 6 eclipses this year. The max is 7. The maximum number of eclipses is 7. So it's almost like we needed more than the average of 4 to get back on track, basically.
Right. Because that's how just intense, like, both sides of the energies are. Like, that's how, I mean, there's no other way we were gonna like get back to where we're supposed to be, because it's so easy for us to like spiral down and to get, you know, sink into the news cycle and to sink into, you know, all this craziness that's happening. So, yeah.
Well, there will be no sinking in, because we're actually, the whole reason we're having this is we're heading into 2 events that are going to lead us into the age of Aquarius. One is a total solar eclipse happening on the 14th of December. Solar eclipses have to do with leaders. And when it's a total solar eclipse, that means it's completely covered. And that makes it even more powerful. So not only that, but it's going to be coupled with, on December 20th, what's called the Great Conjunction.
I've heard about this, yes.
This is one where it affects the president, like an intense event in the life of a president. So I'm just saying this because just so we can get ready. And we're talking, Saturn is the great malefic. We talked about that. He's going to be conjunct or joining. I should say Jupiter will be joining him. Jupiter is the great benefic, will be joining Saturn, the great malefic. So at least there's going to be a little help from Jupiter. And what's important to know about this is that it was 600 years ago that these two combined in Aquarius. And for the next 200 years, we're going to have them combine in air signs, which is a really, really good sign. Talk about good omens.
Yeah.
We talked about Gemini. Yeah, all the air signs are very humanitarian. We're talking about equal distribution of wealth. We're talking about changing the economic system so that it's fair for everyone. This is the higher end. This is what humanity is evolving into if we choose to. You know, there's obviously always going to be a lower vibration, but if we can learn our lessons and if we can reach the highest potential of what we're capable of, this is actually such a beautiful energy. And I'm going to talk about,
before we get into that. So, well, first of all, I thought we were already in the age of Aquarius.
We are. We're like, it's boom. It's a boom now. It's like, if we know we're
really
in
here.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm like, okay, wait, did that not happen? Okay, so we're in there, but it's just like we're in that transition period.
Yeah.
And then also, so this episode is really perfect, because for our next podcast episode, Stephen and I will be talking about the 2020 predictions that we've seen. And everything that you're saying is so in line with the things that we've seen and the things that we've experienced in BQH sessions, being client and or facilitator. And there's some really interesting stuff that, that I've seen for the end of this year. And I know that Stephen saw in his session with me that are very like political. So this is really a really, really good tie-in to all that. Do you remember, Stephen?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I mean, I think that every spiritual person, no matter what modality they practice, whether it be astrology, quantum healing, whatever the case may be, we all know that there's like a shift happening this fall. I mean, 2020 has been a shift, but like the fall especially is going to be.
The fall, for sure. And it's like no one knows exactly. Like we know kind of before, we know after, but we don't know exactly what that major shift is. So it's like just be on the lookout, and really what I've gotten is like why no one knows when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. It's like it's protection. Like if we know, like like all bets are off, light or dark.
Yeah. But Sonya, the fact that we're really teetering towards the age of Aquarius should make us feel safer, right?
It should. That's actually something I wanted to head into next. It's like you
Right.
read my mind. But
And also, can I just, sorry, one more thing.
yeah.
When you said Age of Aquarius and you said air signs, it just made me feel like, it just made me think of Lemuria and how I imagine that kind of civilization, especially with the air cities, and there's just more equality, and it just felt like a more peaceful humanitarian time from what I've read. So I think that's really cool. And
Interesting.
then
How we might be pivoting towards more of that kind of
that
society, hopefully. Like, fingers
community
crossed.
energy, right?
Yeah.
And when I've done, which I'll talk about more in the next episode, for the next, I did a regression, or actually a progression into 200, a little less than 100 years, and it was, or seemed very peaceful, and everything seemed much better, like much brighter, and more like everyone was very, very connected, like spiritually. So everything you're saying, it's like we're going through this crap, but on the other side, it's like
Yeah.
it's like cleaning. To me, I say it's like cleaning out the attic. You know, if you
Yeah.
haven't cleaned it in over 50 years, it's gonna look worse,
Yeah.
way worse before it looks better.
Like when you do the work to get it cleaned out, it's like horrible. But then once
Yeah,
it's cleaned out, yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. We're cleaning out our attic.
Brian Weiss, I think he was one of the, wasn't he Many Lives, Many Masters? He wrote
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that. He
Great
does
book.
progressions, and I think the same image was in the book about this woman who saw, there were like light beings, like vessels that you could basically make your own food. You didn't even really need
Wow.
farms.
Replicators,
And
yeah.
it was beautiful, verdant green grasses. So I'm looking for, I won't be here, but I'm looking forward to
Hopefully.
that.
Right, I would love to, because when
Yeah.
because it's cool how kind of multiple people, I didn't even remember that part of the book, but I was listening to it on audio, and I forget a
Yeah.
lot. But no, that's really cool. All the stuff like that I saw, someone else is seeing, and a lot of people are seeing. So it's like it makes it. It's like, okay, fingers crossed, this is really gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So in order to make that happen,
Back to the hard part.
here's what is prescribed by many astrologers. What I keep hearing is they see small pockets, small communities that are self-sustained. That means creating new platforms. That means even having self-sustained internet connection that can't be tampered with, because Saturn in Aquarius, although it's beautiful, Saturn is a controlling planet. And the censorship we've seen is something that is meant to control humanity. Now, if we can be creative, because we've got this North Node in Gemini, which is a very creative energy, if we can use that to create new avenues for communication and new ways to connect with each other, then the control isn't going to happen. We have to make it harder for anyone who's trying to disturb that. And one thing, Heather Eland, I follow her on YouTube, and she's also
Follow her as well.
heather.com. And what she says is, what's going to be really important is we create communities where we have self-sustained food. We're getting everything local, because the problem is with our South Node in Sagittarius is expansive and cultures and going places. The distribution, so the supply chains are going to be a little bit off right now, or a lot off. And so if we can be a part of communities that create whatever we need as we need it, we're going to be much more powerful in whatever we do. So that was something I would say is really important to remember in this time of Saturn and Aquarius.
Everything you're saying is like so in line with the things that we're seeing with the food.
Yeah.
Everything is just matching up. It's awesome.
And I can't take credit for it. I wish I could, but you know, I follow a lot of great astrologers. I watch a lot. I do a lot of research. I watch a lot of videos from the best, and they're all saying the same thing. One thing to be aware of: Saturn is going to be invisible at the end of the year. So when a planet is invisible, it means things happen behind the scenes. So when I'm telling your audience, like I'm giving this forewarning, I'm saying, here are some things you can do so that it won't matter who's doing things behind the scenes. And then, you know, we've got a square going to Uranus, and Uranus is in Taurus. What that means is the economic system could change. I'm just warning people about that. So
how many people have heard of the financial reset?
Yeah, exactly. So if there are steps you can take for that too, I know personally, I'm buying physical money, like physical gold and silver, just to keep myself in a power position, because I don't want to be reliant. Some of the astrologers are saying governments are going to swoop in and say, hey, let's just do a universal income. Well, the problem with that is then you've got them tracking your exchanges. You know, they've got control over what you buy and things like that. So, you know, you don't have to do these things. It's just that the more you can have what you need, like if you have, I would recommend at least stocking up on things like rice and beans, just so that you have something so that you feel better. It doesn't matter. Things could be wonderful, but as long as you feel confident in what you have, your vibration is going to be high, and then you can exude that to the rest of the world. And that's really all we want. We want the light workers to be able to serve and give what they can and not be in panic mode at any time during this period.
Hello. You could say that again for all the light workers, because, well, especially because you don't know how you're going to react to the situations actually here. But for all the light workers who really, truly, truly want to be on the front lines and really want to make a difference, what matters the most is holding the energy and holding the space when ish gets rough, and staying centered, and helping other people, because that's the only way we can help other people is when the dust falls, or it's going to be a lot more than dust. But right, how are we gonna, but how are we gonna you know, how are we gonna hold the light and really trust in ourselves and that inner guidance that there's going to be something on the other side of the destruction and the chaos. So for all you light workers, start meditating, start future projecting and seeing the positivity of the future. So when things get really, really, really tough, you know, and you've seen that, or you felt the energies of the future, and you know that this is just temporary.
Yeah. And, you know, the light workers, I believe that so many of us are here at this time because this is the transition time. You know, there's a story that one of the astrologers said about the Cathars, that were, you know, a group that was very much about brotherhood, equality, sisterhood, you know, everybody combining to help each other out. And there was a prophecy made that right around this time we'd come back. And I get chills throughout my whole body because I think that, you know, at that time we weren't respected, we weren't needed. You know, in this time, I think there's much more respect for the feminine. And I'm not saying masculine isn't important. I think there needs to be a balance, but I think because we're becoming more aware of how important it is to tap into that energy, we'll be much more, we'll be called on by people instead of being like damped down and, you know, told not to do things. So that's how I see it. Hopefully that's true.
No, that's exactly, people will kind of acknowledge the light, and you'll just see the difference between people who have this light center that's very activated versus those who don't. And it'll just be this like natural magnetism, and people are like, okay, why are you so calm? And why are you still emanating this love and this light in this time?
Agreed. I think at the end of the day, we're all here to raise each other's vibration, and people are going to pick up on our energy and see that we're still and we're okay. And that's just going to feed off of each other, and it'll be like a domino effect. So
and
it's
all
good.
of us, and we can all work together. And that's also a big thing that I thought was, especially as light workers, we need to hold each other's hands and really build a community and not separate ourselves either. So
yeah, exactly. Yep. I had if it's okay, I had one more thing to
do it. Yeah.
I wrote down a few things that would help everyone, no matter who you are, whatever energy you're carrying with you. It's the time of the North Node in Gemini, and you know, we've got Jupiter in the mix. So what this means is there are certain things that will help you have the edge. If you can delve into some of these things, if you're a natural at these things, they're going to make you more successful. So one is networking. If you can network in areas where you normally wouldn't, if you can say yes to things you normally wouldn't, if it feels right, go for it. If you can build a new skill, you're going to learn so much faster with the North Node in Gemini. Build as many skills as you can. And some areas that do really well with North Node in Gemini are delivery, tech, and anything with IT. They're talking about self-driving cars. Any online businesses will do much better. They're talking about eccentricity because we have all that Aquarius, Uranus energy, anything alternative, rebellious, innovative. Right? We talked about farming, sustainable farming, organic farming. Gemini is working with the hands, so DIY, anything where you can fix things. Subscription services, we're seeing that pop up everywhere. That's very popular now. Skills training, education. And then what you're doing, having the podcast, blogging, writing, social media. And finally, my favorite is healing, mysticism or mystical spirituality, and psychology, because actually at this time there's, you can see it in the astrology, but with the Neptune energy there, the lower vibration is fear and mental illness. So people are going to need us, the light workers, to reach out, lend a hand, heal, do whatever we can, because it's a very tough time on the sensitive souls who need strategies to help them through this time.
And also, I've amped up my own healing. Like us light workers and us healers need double the healing, really, and to be doing the inner work just as much.
It's easy for light workers to get burned out right now. I'm seeing it left and right that everyone's kind of like, well, I need to take a step back and actually do me. This period of time is heavy on everyone, light workers included.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. We need to fill our own cup for sure.
Cool. So question for you, Sonya, in terms of the pandemic, how do you see that evolving? Is it going to get worse in the fall? Do you see it getting better? What's the astrological forecast for that?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. There are some great videos that probably do it better justice than I can. On Astrolada's channel, she's her channel would be Lada Dancheva.
Astrolada, yeah.
Yeah, from what I've learned from that, what I can say is it's going to be intense even leading into next year. I wish I had better news, and this is something I don't really like to get too deep into, but with the Aquarius energy and the age of Aquarius, it's very possible that the reason why it'll be intense is because the whole vaccine situation and saying, mandating people take it and saying, like, if you don't, we're going to cut down on your human rights and that sort of thing. So I don't see the I think what they said was May of next year. I'm pretty sure. I want to check on that. Maybe your audience do some Googling with Astrolada's channel. But I think they said it will die down around May, which makes sense because if you think about the sun is such a powerful star in our sky and it kills off a lot of things in the environment. The astrologers predicted around this time that the pandemic would start rising again.
Okay.
Yeah. But then, when the sun comes back and you've got the summer and that's when they're predicting that once again it will fade away. Now, I don't know if something else will rise and take its place, but the best thing you can do is stay at a high vibration, in my opinion. Make sure you're eating well. I feel like I'm being Dr. Sonya right now, but
no, but it's important.
It's all helpful, yeah.
Right? Immunity, keep your immunity up, stay positive, reach out to people, everything that you're probably already doing. Because I think when we tend to get negative, we get pulled down, our immunity decreases, and then you can be more susceptible. But what I love about your podcast, you started out with the meditation. I felt wonderful. So anything where you're meditating, you're connecting with spirituality, I think you're giving yourself the best chance. And I would say don't worry, because worrying is going to make it worse. So just do what you personally can, take those actions for yourself.
For sure. And for those of you all who are not spiritual, find a therapist. Like seriously. And I recently was on Reddit and there's people who are like, there are these alternatives to, expensive therapy where you can get just as great results. So find a therapist, find a friend to talk to, find some sort of support system. Like the more that you join together, no matter who you are, if you've never, you know, if you spend a lot of time alone, you need that. You need that sense of community to start reaching out.
Yeah, very important.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. And also, tell us, so I guess tell our listeners exactly what you do, because I know that you offer personalized services. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm being the type of person I am. I like to actually just take on one client a week. I really like to dig in. As you can see, I had about 8 pages of notes for most of my clients. I have about 55. It sounds extreme.
Holy
but
crap.
I know I get really, I delve in and I take pride in seeing every way that I can help in this time period. So it sounds a little bit much, but I feel that with the people that I've helped so far, I feel like it's taken them to the next level, and I want to make sure that I can do everything I can to make sure someone's successful. And
can you tell us, tell us about maybe one of your client sessions or something, or what happened, and like how were you able to affect these people's lives?
Without getting too specific, of course, but just
right,
kind of like a,
yeah. Well, in one case, and I did put an interview up on my website. There was one of my first clients was someone who was just kind of felt stuck and didn't know where she was going. And when we met, I was listing off all of her talents on the several pages of notes that I had. And she's like, yeah, this really matches up. And I was telling her, because I can do astrocartography, I was telling her where the best place to live would be. I was telling her what time periods, because I can look at the transits and see when the best times are and when she'll be successful. So combining all of that, she decided, I think it was within the month, to move to another country, start her own business. And she's been just, taking on a lot of people and she's very spiritual. So she's been, helping people in that way and in raising the vibration. She has visions for humanity, like creating communities throughout the world. So it took, and I'm not taking credit, but I'm just saying it's amazing when you take the time with someone and you really delve in and they see how powerful they are. They're willing to take that and apply that. And it can create success so much more than when you do it by yourself. That's why we have guides like astrologers, because we're working together.
Oh, that's awesome.
For sure.
That's really magnificent.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love how sometimes all it takes is like a little nudge, and whether it be from like an astrological point of view or another, you just need a nudge sometimes and it kickstart your life. So that's what's special about, I think, all different modalities.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I think it is.
Yeah.
Drew, did you have anything else to add?
Not that I can think of. What about you?
Perfect. No, I'm super thorough. I'm really happy with everything that we went through. Thank you so much, Sonya. Where can our listeners find you?
So my website is my name, so sonyakarl.com, sonyakarl. And you can also find me on Instagram. I post daily, just kind of a little tidbit to help you work through the energies because they're more intense. And that would be Sonya Karl Astrology on Instagram. So those are my main spots. Yeah. And I have a blog. My website is a blog, so I always keep up to date on that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Thank you so much, Sonya, for being here. Really appreciate it. Drew, tell our listeners where they could find you.
Yeah, so feel free to join our Facebook group for the Cosmic Alchemy listeners. That will be listed below, as well as my contact information. If you want to do a BQH session, pastpresentandfutures@gmail.com. And yeah, that's mainly where you can find me. What about you, Stephen?
Yeah, all my contact info is on my Instagram @Steve_untangled. If you want to book a session or anything like that, check me out on Instagram. That's the best place to reach me. So that's it for today, guys. Yeah. Number 3 done. Like Drew, it's done.
Right, it is done.
Yeah, cool. So catch you guys next time. See you.